House will come to order.
The House began a busy week Monday, passing several bills off the House floor. One of the bills, House File 3280, would nullify the state's 45-year-old Rice water quality sulfate standard and require the Pollution Control Agency to adopt a new water quality rule. Representative Dale Lueck sponsors the bill that was debated at length at Monday's House floor session.
This is an absolutely sincere effort to move the ball forward, to get us focused on pragmatic improvements to protecting and enhancing wild rice.
Not all members were on board with the proposal and argued that House File 3280 would harm the state's official grain.
For all Minnesotans who enjoy and depend on our lakes and rivers, the risk of removing the sulfate standard is just simply too great.
House File 3280 passed by a 78-45 vote and was sent to the Senate. On Monday, the House Subcommittee on Workplace Safety and Respect met for the last time this session and approved a report of proposed changes to the House policy against discrimination and harassment and recommended those changes to the House Rules and Legislative Administration Committee. Those changes include how reporting of discrimination and harassment happens and the House's responsibility in regards to how complaints are investigated. The subcommittee also approved a House resolution which would create an interim task force on workplace safety and respect comprised of the same members of the subcommittee. This will allow members to continue their work past the end of this year's legislative session. Earlier this week, Majority Leader Joyce Pepin described the progress the Subcommittee on Workplace Safety and Respect has made this session in their effort to address discrimination and harassment.
We made some changes for our House policy, some much stronger language in our House workplace safety harassment policy. And so we passed that in Rules Committee yesterday. Additionally, we created an ongoing task force of the subcommittee members so that even though the subcommittee ends when we adjourn sine die, the task force will go forward, and we're directing staff to do all sorts of things like take a survey of the community on the atmosphere of this nature in the legislative community, an anonymous tip line via phone, an anonymous email line, additional information on the web page, and then we're asking staff to come forward with the training schedule. So we made huge changes, both in the House, which they're already in effect as of yesterday.
Representative Rod Hamilton was temporarily suspended from his chairmanship position with the House Agriculture Finance Committee after sexual assault allegations against him came to light on Thursday. In a joint statement, House Speaker Kurt Daudt and House Majority Leader Joyce Pepin announced, "We are suspending his chairmanship and have instructed the House's nonpartisan HR department to begin their complaint process per the new House policy on discrimination and harassment." Hamilton, a Republican from Mountain Lake who is serving his 7th term, has denied the allegations. A bill that proposes to amend the state's constitution to dedicate sales tax revenues from motor vehicle repair and replacement parts toward road and bridge construction was approved by the House Transportation Finance Committee on Thursday. Committee Chair Paul Torkelson sponsors House File 4437, which would ask Minnesota voters to weigh in on this measure during the November election.
This bill today is about dedicated funding for transportation. We know that transportation has been dependent on dedicated funding for many years. We know that dedicated funding is falling short.
Under current law, tax revenues generated through auto repairs and sales of auto parts go into the state's general fund to be divvied up by lawmakers among a number of funding areas during the biennial budgeting process. Opponents of the bill argue that this proposal wouldn't create any new funds. Rather, it would shift existing revenues in the state's constitution and pit transportation against the state's other major funding priorities.
We all want jobs for our laborers and for the 49ers and for people who build our roads. We all want more for transportation, but this is not the way to do it.
House File 4437 was approved as amended by a split voice vote and sent to the House Taxes Committee. Thursday's House floor session saw the Omnibus Education Finance proposal passed as amended by a 94-29 vote. House File 4328, sponsored by House Education Finance Committee Chair Jennifer Loon, contains a compilation of E-12 and higher education funding and policy provisions, including roughly $35 million in additional investments for fiscal year 2019, with nearly $29 million of that going to fund an array of school and student safety enhancement options.
And its title agreed to.
The legislature will likely be spending a lot of time on omnibus finance proposals over the remaining 3 weeks of the 2018 session. To learn more about what's in them, you can check out our session daily coverage on the House website, www.house.mn/sessiondaily.